Well, looks like you guys should have went with Maxime Bernier, but you chose to go with Andrew Scheer. You chose to ignore the dairy cartel influencing that election and getting Andrew Scheer elected over Max. You chose to ignore his attacks on free speech, him trying to get like the rebel media people arrested, and you made excuses for that. You ignore the fact that they sign up for the Paris Climate Accord. You ignore the fact that Stephen Harper helped pretty much write the Global Compact for Migration. You ignore, and ignore. And then you still lose, which really has to suck. You just sold out completely. You sold out all your morals, your principles, and you still lost. How does that feel? Really? Honestly, it must not feel very good. And what are you going to do in the future? Are you going to do more of the same? Probably. You're just going to get more of the same results because you're cowardly. You're a coward, and you don't have character. People who have character say what they believe regardless of what the polls say, regardless of what their friends and family and the masses say. They say it because that is the truth. That is the reality. That is their truth or something, right? But these people are the ones that you need running parties, running these types of movements or something, right? It's not some lackluster leader who's going to try to make everybody happy by saying, oh, okay, well, I'm not for abortion, but I'm going to let you abort your babies up until whenever you want. Well, I'm not for gay marriage or anything, and I'm not going to go to the parade, but I'm not going to repeal any of this bullshit that they passed. When it comes to gay people, with the whole, you can't misgender people. I forget what that bill is called, but see, they don't conserve anything. They just say, okay, we're going to stop what Trudeau is doing and not scale back more or not increase it more or whatnot, right? Same with like in America or Canada here too. They take away the guns like the liberals do. Then the conservatives come in and are like, hey, okay, don't worry. We're not going to take away more of your guns. But all the ones that are restricted, we're just going to keep restricted. So it's like this fake option that we have, which we really don't. But, you guys should have raised more alarms when all this bullshit was revealed with the dairy cartel getting people to go and vote for Andrew Scheer. And then you would have got Maxime Bernier as opposed to Andrew Scheer. And all of this for some farmers, some dairy farmers and shit that are millionaires, a lot of them. Like, really? All that for them? Are you kidding me? But hey, that's oh, we want to pay more for milk, and I love I love our farmers, and you hate our industry, blah 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 blah, right? Just stupid bullshit. When it's like, hey, do you want to pay less? Do you want poor people to pay less for food? No. We want to help our farmers or something. It's just some bullshit. So, of course, everybody's for farmers. I'm for farmers. I'm for people growing food because I need to eat it. But doesn't mean I want them to have a monopoly. Doesn't mean I want them to control the industry completely and to have a really comfortable life where everybody else is struggling. I'm not saying I want you to suffer like me. But hey, man, if I have to compete on the free market, you should too. Okay, we're not going to get a bunch of bad milk and it's going to be, we're going to throw it all out because we're going to be wasting it. You want to waste milk? Some stupid nonsense, right? But, this is what people sold out to, a little fucking industry, and you completely lost. But I think also it's probably a good thing that Maxime Bernier actually left the Conservative Party, because even if he stayed, he might have been different, obviously better than Andrew Scheer, but I think he still would have been very restrained from just the party itself. And we needed a new party to be created to at least even act as a counterbalance to the Conservative Party. Because something that the Liberals have in Canada is the NDP and the Greens. And these parties help shift the Liberal Party further and further left, because the people have some place to go when they're not content with what the Liberals are doing. So they'll be like, okay, don't go, don't worry. We will implement more socialism, and we'll do this, and we'll be harsher on the environment and we'll on oil companies. Just don't leave, right? So these two parties, they kind of take some of the support from the Liberals, but something the Conservatives don't have is another party to do that. Another viable type party. And the PPC seems like the more viable option, right? There's not like Steve Garvey's party or something, the National Alliance or Citizens Alliance Party. That guy's just a fucking joke. But to have something else that conservatives can threaten the base with, or the leaders with, and say, hey, if you don't actually follow through on these ideals and principles, then I'm going to go over to this party. Then I'm going to go over here. But, people, they don't want to do that because they're like, oh, it's going to split the vote. And, Max is this and he's a separatist and, all this stupid nonsense. But it's like, ignore Max, ignore him as an individual and all the things you dislike about him, and look at the policies and the platform. And these are the things that should be attracting you to the party if you consider yourself, conservative or right-leaning at the very least. And you should be up in arms and angry about the way the conservatives have been acting lately. You should be really pissed off at them. But, people choose to look the other way because they want their guy to win, and they excuse all the bad shit that they do. And that's on you, It's on you for not being a better person, not being a stronger person, to be able to be like, I'm going to stand on my convictions as opposed to worry about the consequences, because that's what people always worry about, right? And it's like, yeah, okay, you should worry about some consequences, sure, but, anybody who's ever done anything great in history didn't say, well, I'm not going to stand in front of that tank because I'm not supposed to. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to speak up because I'm not supposed to. They do anyways. And then maybe they will get run over. Maybe they will be put in prison for 20, 30 years. But, unless people take some type of risk, then nothing can be achieved. There is no reward without risk. You can't achieve anything. But I'm not proposing everybody go and stand in front of tanks, but I think you know what I mean. And and simply, in Canada especially, you don't have to do anything like risking your life. It's just like, hey, don't vote for that party and vote for this party. But no, if Trudeau gets in another term, we're fucked completely, right? Well, your worst fears were realized, and he is elected again. So are we going to be fucked entirely, or are you going to keep going and figure out a new solution, figure out something different, as opposed to just being, okay, we're done. If that's the case, then just leave right now, leave Canada, buy a ticket and fly to some other country, because, you've already kind of made up your mind, apparently. So if that's not the case, if you really don't think all is lost, then stop doing the same thing over and over again, which is voting for the Conservative Party over and over again. The new leader is not going to be any different. They're still going to be signed up for the Global Compact or the Paris Accord. They're still going to give hundreds of millions of dollars to the media, which Andrew Scheer said he was completely fine with. They're still going to implement a carbon tax, which Jason Kenny is doing right now in Alberta for like $30. And he said he's going to oppose it when it comes up, the $40 ton proposal, but he's not really going to do anything if it does get implemented, right? So essentially, yeah, it's going to be 30, then 40. Under the Conservatives too, and Max was the only guy saying that the UN is bullshit, that they're just trying to screw over Canada, all this climate accord shit. We need to stop giving our money to this stuff, stop and do absolutely nothing about carbon. He's focusing more about pollution and shit, which what we should be focusing about. Not some intangible thing in the sky that we can't see or feel or anything, because they do that on purpose. They're like, okay, it's 20 years down the road, you're all going to die by this carbon in the air. But don't worry about the water that's a different color that's going to poison you if you drink it. Don't worry about these things that you can actually see, feel, and touch. Worry about the things you can't. This is how they get you. Because none of us are experts. None of us are climate experts, so we can't dispute what they're saying. But all you need to do is look at the people saying it. Look at the most adamant supporters of these ideas. Look at Leonardo DiCaprio. Look at all these celebrities saying, you better stop using 2 cars because you're a piece of shit, while he has like multiple jets, multiple homes, multiple cars, uses more energy than probably a small country. But, you need to stop. You need to stop using it, right? But just look at them. They don't believe it, clearly. Because if they did, they would stop doing that. They would stop flying around their jets all over the planet. Because they'd be like, oh shit, man, we're going to die in 10 years if we don't stop what we're doing right now. But they don't believe it. They're just trying to control you. And, like I said, it's going to be no different under Andrew Scheer. And, if it's a good thing. Even if they come out and they go further left, that's just going to wake up more people. And hopefully before it's too late, before we get completely replaced. And something else I guess I should mention about that is like, the Canada that we once knew is probably not going to be, what it was, right? We're not going to get that back. But there could be areas in Canada that are very similar or better even to some extent than what it was in the past. So we can't necessarily think, if we think like, oh, we got to save Canada as a whole, then yeah, you're going to be like, okay, we're fucked. We're completely done because, that's impossible. It's done. But if you can think of saving maybe sections of Canada, then it becomes more possible. Then there's more options that start to pop up. So, keep hope, even though, it looks bleak and stuff. Things can get better. And, they won't get better if you don't try to also make them better. Things don't just happen for no reason. Oftentimes there's a cause behind it, and you need to be that cause. You need to be one of the causes to change. And this can happen just through dialogue, through conversation, which is very easy and takes minimal risk, right? There's more risk in today's world because of, people try to fire you and shit, but sometimes we got to take these risks and, because there can be huge payoffs at the end. If you do break through, if you do reach enough people, or reach the right people, because that's another thing, is that we don't need to convince everybody. What we need to do is convince the shakers and movers, right? The influencers, right? And if you can convince these people, then you can convince the rest. Because the rest, most people are sheep. and stuff. I've mentioned this before in other videos, right? Like, it's just the way they are. It's just the way a lot of people are. And, they need leaders. They need people to tell them more or less what to think, almost, and to direct them in the right path, because without that, if you just think people are just going to wake up and start to be smart and start to understand this shit, it's like, no, you got another thing coming, right? Still try to convince regular people too, because you never know who you're convincing either, right? It could be somebody that could have a lot of impact in the future, and maybe right now you're talking to them, they seem like some nobody, but maybe 10 years down the road they could be somebody. But that's all I pretty much had to say. Everybody join my Discord. I'm going to put a link in the description below. Join everything else that I have, all the descriptions I have below, as well as all of the Canadian YouTubers that I have. I have got like 24 of them or something at least. So go sub to all their channels. Like I said, come to my Discord as well. A lot of good content, a lot of good conversation there. So come there if you want to have a conversation with me or other people or whatnot. And, have a good day, guys. Take it easy.